Hello everyone, and welcome to our second video workshop of the year. If you didn't catch our first workshop, that one was with Jade about yes and some other improv basics. So you're going to want to check that one out. You don't want to miss it. So go into the Discord under #workshops. That's where the link is. Or you can just type in YouTube, Brock Improv, and it'll pop up under there. So if anyone doesn't know who I am, my name is Olivia. I'm in 4th year Con Ed. My teachables are English and History. And I've been doing improv for a couple years, so I'm super excited to be talking improv today. This week's workshop is going to be all about focus sharing, which is another one of these foundational core principles of improv that are going to follow you from the first scene you do to the last scene you do. It's something that is always relevant, and that's why it's really important to learn it early on, like we're doing right now. Basically, what focus sharing is all about is sharing the focus of the audience with the other people in your scene with you, and about paying attention to what is going on in the scene. So to kind of break it down, focus sharing is about sharing the attention of others and paying attention to others. So focus sharing in a scene can look a lot of different ways. It can be letting other people speak instead of just going off on a really long tangent. It can be watching everyone in the scene. It can be taking breaks to task or be physical. Or it could just be staying quiet as a group and doing physical things to build the scene together. So a big part of focus sharing is learning how to be comfortable with the silences that are generated in a scene. So in a scene, we don't always need to have someone talking. We don't always have to have people kind of going back and forth really, really quickly. It can be people doing things, saying things every once in a while, making noises. As long as we're creating a kind of conducive story, everyone's working together, that's going to be a great scene, not necessarily people talking. So if you want a kind of example of how focus sharing works in the real world, think about being on a Zoom call or even just a regular conversation with people, but Zoom call is a little bit relevant right now. So think about if you have 4 people in a Zoom call. If one person is doing all of the talking, that's not going to be a great conversation with your friends, right? That's going to be pretty boring because they're the only ones who are talking, the only people who are giving, any substance to the conversation. That's not very fun. If only 2 people are talking and 2 people are just watching and sitting, that's a little bit better, but you're kind of wondering, what are those 2 people doing here? Now, if we have all 4 people who are talking at once, trying to get their points out, trying to tell their story more, we've got people raising their volumes and trying to talk over each other, that's not going to be a good conversation either, especially on Zoom, because everything's going to get all jumbled together. So, ideally what we want is everyone paying attention to who's speaking next, who's moving around getting ready to speak maybe, and that way you guys can create a conversation where everyone is saying something, or everyone is paying attention to who's moving, who's getting up, who's sitting down. And so this translates directly to our scenes. Who's getting up? If I'm in a scene, I need to make sure that I know that someone is getting up and walking across the stage so that I can remember, okay, they're over there and they've moved their place, or they're doing something new. I better not go back over to that chair and start talking to them because they're not going to be there. And if you're focused too much on what you're saying or not paying attention to, say, another conversation or another interaction that's happening across the stage, you're going to miss out on a lot of the content of the scene. And so by paying attention to everyone, we're going to create a scene that makes sense to our audience, that's not overwhelming / boring to our audience. We're not going on either side of the scale. And we're creating something where everyone kind of feels good and feels seen in the scene. If you've been joining us on our club nights, we've been doing a couple exercises that really focus on focus sharing, like the counting game, where we try to count to 10 or 20 as a group. And there's also games like Robin Tells It Better. And so in that game, we have people all telling a story together and passing it on. But in that game, we're going to have to make sure that everyone's getting a turn and we're listening for everyone's part of the story, so then we know where to pick off where they left off. So that just kind of shows you everything about focus sharing. If you have any more questions, put them in the Discord. We'd love to answer them for you. And make sure you tune up in the next couple of weeks because there's going to be another workshop, and we're so excited. So we will see you later. Bye!